Hey friends, welcome back to the shop this week. If this is your first time here, I'm Art. Dana is unfortunately down for the count. She's sick, so she is resting up for today. Hopefully we can get her back into the shop here soon to help on the upcoming projects. But this week, we are jumping back onto Project Herald, our 72 C10. We've got a number of projects that we have to take care of on the front end. Today is one that there's just no videos out there for it, so I figured this is a great opportunity to go ahead and create one for anyone that's looking to do the same. But this is a Hood Latch Release Kit for a 71, 72 C10 picked up from LMC truck. The difference with this is it's more in line with later models of cars and trucks that have a cable that goes into the cab of the vehicle. You pull the handle inside and it releases the hood latch. So hoping this right here helps with some of the issues that we had with the original one catching and just not releasing. It's old, it's worn out, it needs to go. So let's go ahead and pop the box. Let's see what contents come along with it and then get into the project itself. All right, I'm going to put the part number for this in the description box. All right, we've got a little bag of hardware, our cable, and our latch release for inside the cab. We have instructions with pictures. Very nice. And then, of course, we have the main item itself, which is going to be the new hood latch release. Very nice. All right, let's jump into this. Since some of the work that I have to do is going to require taking off this front grille, I'm going to go ahead and take it off now. I was simply doing a test fitting of the new one anyway, so this all needs to come off. All right, next up, take off this old weathered one that it catches at times. It's been painted over, it's rusted, it needs to go. All right. All right, first step, now that we've got the new one installed, is actually drilling a hole through the firewall to run the cable. Now, based on the pictures in the instruction book itself, it's right in this area where it's going to be. Now I see a rubber grommet here. There's another rubber grommet right up there that holds in the actual firewall protection layer, the insulation piece of it. So we're going to end up screwing the hole directly through this area. But then, just to verify there's nothing on the other side, you can actually see where those grommets that came through the firewall right here. So there's one, another right here. So nothing in this area that's going to actually restrict us from running that cable through. So I think that's going to be a good spot for us to run it. Now this is going to be an 11/16 size bit. Okay. Now we have our wire running through right here. Grommet is pulled through. A tip on this: pull the grommet from the engine bay. Don't try to push it in from within the cab. You'll end up killing yourself trying to get that seated like I was doing, but all of about 5 seconds on pulling from this end and everything is in place. It looks great. All right, next all we got to do is feed the cable through the rest of the grommet. Go ahead and get it out of the cab. All right, next step is actually going to be mounting our pull handle up here in the cab. Now these two holes are going to be where you're going to mark. Basically, we're going to find a spot right up here to mount this to. It looks like prior owners have already done their doing with screwing in other additional things, so we'll have to straddle some of these holes for this. Looks like it's going to be a 7/16 bit that we're going to use for these, and then use the included hardware to mount it. Okay. Now we're supposed to run this cable right along the fender well, back behind the tank here. But since I do not have an inner fender well right now, we're just gonna kind of run it around, get our distance correct, avoid all of the headlight wires, make sure we have plenty of slack for when we do have our inner fenders. And it should run just like this. As normal for me, I tend to do steps out of order, and I was so excited to put this in, I didn't pay enough attention to the instructions, and this actually goes on last. So here we go, taking it back off again. Now the manual mentions that if there are no prior holes in the core support, to go ahead and drill a 3/8 inch hole through it to run the cable. Of course, it's not so easy when your radiator is there, but since we're actually planning on replacing the radiator here shortly, I'm going to come back and actually drill those holes then at that point once we have it out. For today, it's simply to be able to get it in and make sure that it works. Next step you have this little gap here, and then you have the little ball at the end of the cable. So the ball is going to go right on this side of that gap. And if you look back right here, that space and that grommet type of part on the cable will end up sliding through there. So it'll slide through there, the end will slide right in there to where both of them are connected to the latch itself. Okay, we've got our cable mounted, going in through the front, through both connections. That cable should open up these jaws right here when we pull the lever within the cab. What that's going to end up doing, that will release this pin here, so then all you have to do is reach through and grab this to let go of the hook. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the handle from within the cab just so you see that that right there will open up and release it. However, because I don't have the whole front end on, the hood is not actually going to mount 100% correct, so it won't spring up like it should. But once we actually get the front end back on, I'll show everybody as a follow-up on how it's actually working. But the big thing is that that right there opens up and won't have to use a screwdriver anymore like we had to use with the old one. All right, once again, another quick project done on Harold. Next ones that we're going to tackle on the truck is the front bumper mounts, actually getting the front bumper on, getting the front grille and grill shell mounted properly, as well as getting things lined up for the hood that we're going to be replacing the hood hinges and hopefully not the springs. Fingers crossed the springs are good, but the hood hinges are definitely aged and wore out. They've got to go so we can have the hood nicely aligned. So there's your preview on the next few projects that we're going to be tackling on Harold. Hope you stick around for those. But once again, thanks again for tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. Until next week, take care, stay safe. We'll see you soon. Bye.